Howdy, folks. Welcome to another episode of It's Just Racing, hosted by Jim and Jim. I'm Jim.
I'm Jim.
We're here to talk about racing. You don't like that voice?
No.
Okay,
You
I'll
should
use
talk
my normal
normal.
voice. Alright, we're going to start off with the Indycars. They had a doubleheader in Iowa. Start off, man, Penske's having a rough year. Scott McLaughlin crashed on his warm-up lap before qualifying. How they did it was your first lap is your qualifying lap for race 1. Your second lap is your qualifying lap for race 2. So Scott McLaughlin got 0 laps in, so would be starting from the tail for both races. Great start, Penske. But Joseph Newgarden, best Penske driver there is, was on the pole. Green and yellow flew at the same time as Colton Herta. I don't know what he did, if he downshifted to accelerate, but coming out of turn 4, coming to the green, he just spun himself out into the grass. So after we actually got the race started, Newgarden led every lap, first 75 laps until Jacob Abel, the only car a lap down, drove himself into the wall to bring out a caution. Everybody had to pit. Pit window was 80 to 90 laps, so 75 laps made sense. Newgarden continued to leave after the caution. He got caught up by some lap traffic, and your boy Pato O'Ward, he closed right up on his tail. Next caution was brought out by a right front tire blowing, Kyle Kirkwood, so that ended his race. Second place in points, that took a blow. Actually, no, he wasn't. Pato took over second place last week, if I recall. I lied. So Kyle Kirkwood was third in points, and he hit the wall, so that didn't help him. Newgarden still led. He's led every lap of the race. Then green flag pit stop started with 49 to go. Newgarden's, I believe it was the right front tire carrier. Might have been the left front. I think it was the right front. I can't remember. They had an issue. They were bobbling the tire all over. Couldn't get it on. Had a horrible pit stop. Pato O'Ward got out in the lead. O'Ward kept the lead until a caution on lap 27 for Nolan Siegel. He got down a little too far in the turn, spun himself out, backed into the wall hard. Had a red flag to repair the wall damage, which coincided perfectly with dinner time. That was very good timing by Mr. Siegel. There was a restart with 14 to go. Pato O'Ward led, and then there's another caution. Cal Milot got loose and backed it into the wall. Restart with 9 to go. And Pato O'Ward won. The Penske guys were lined up right behind him. Newgarden, Power, and McLaughlin. Biggest story I'd say would be McLaughlin starting last with no qualifying, driving from 27th up to 4th. The other headline of the race, other than your boy Pato O'Ward winning, was Joseph Newgarden became the first Indy driver ever to lead 2,000 laps at a track. And he did that in Iowa.
He's been pretty good there.
He has. He's got to put some wins together. He was not happy with second place.
Well, I'm happy because it means that Pato got the win.
Yeah.
And he hasn't won a lot lately either, so he needed that too.
He did.
Moving up to Canada for a little bit, Imsa was in Canada. There were no hypercars for this race. I think they changed that. In the past, they have had hypercars at Canada, but it might have been something with the schedule since they're not doing the GT only race at Lime Rock anymore. They might have moved some stuff around. I don't really know. But it was just your standard 2 hour and 40 minute race, and the other 3 classes were there. The pole sitters were Spike the Dragon for the LMP2 class, which was the overall. And the Paul Miller BMW was leading the GTs. There was an incident on lap 1. The Triarci Ferrari spun the Wayne Taylor Lamborghini that's in GTD, GT Amateur, I'll sometimes call it. Um, the RC car just got a little too aggressive, drove into a gap that didn't exist, and then hopped a curb and spun the Lamborghini. So that was the end of lap one. Both of them got it going again. But really, I just wanted to say that was a dumb move. You can't win the race on lap one, but you can lose it there.
You sure can. A lot of people lose races on lap one.
There was kind of an odd incident a little bit later involving 3 LMP2s and a different Ferrari. The LMP2s were going to lap him, like you do in multi-class racing, and one of the P2s just decided he was going to make it 3 wide in a chicane, and so then the one in the middle had nowhere to go and spun the Ferrari, and then all 3 of the P2s that were there just kind of got stuck. There wasn't a lot of damage on any of the cars because it was super low speed. It's just kind of weird. I don't know if the second LMP2 knew that there was a slower car they were passing because it didn't look like it. So that was just kind of a parking lot that they all had to drive away from, and they lost touch with the leader after that. There was a caution for a bigger crash. George Kurtz in the LMP2. He went off by himself in a high-speed corner. We couldn't find the video for it. It's very hard to find the video. I guess I didn't know this, but George Kurtz is the CEO of CrowdStrike. So when you search George Kurtz crash, it comes up with lots of CrowdStrike stuff. And computers crashing and all. So I was not able to find that to see what happened, but he had a big crash and he was out of the race. After that, there was a good battle for the overall lead between Tom Dillman in the Inter-Europol car and Dane Cameron driving Spike. Those two went back and forth. They were the class of the field. Everyone else was making kind of silly mistakes all day, but they were just slowly driving away, being consistent. With 32 minutes left, the Lamborghinis were running 1 and 2 in GTD, and I like Lamborghinis.
They've had a rough year, though, haven't they?
They have. They turned it around lately. I think they won the 24 Hours of Spa, but over in the Americas, they haven't had a great year. But they were having a good race. And then there's 32 minutes left, and Hunter McElroy in one of the LMP2s passed Mario Fahrenbacher pretty close. It's tough to say exactly what happened. I think he was way too close. I think the LMP2 sideswiped him. He had to have because of how the Lamborghini reacted.
Oh, is that the one you showed me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the angle you couldn't tell, but obviously something broke on the Lamborghini from the contact.
So we don't know if it was from the contact or if it was just the air from passing that close got him loose in a high-speed corner. Either way, Super Mario could not save it, and he went straight on into a wall and was out of the race from second place. So that was a shame to see. That was in the Forte car.
It's always sad to see a crashed Lamborghini.
Yeah. So once we got going green, there were 17 minutes to go. And then Tom Dillman, it was shaping up to be a good battle for the win. But Tom Dillman, I think the car had a problem from the lead. At first, it looked like he just outbraked himself and locked up the right front. But when they showed the replay, it looked like something mechanical broke on that leading car, the Inter-Europol LMP2, because he just went straight on in a braking zone, which he normally wouldn't miss, and just went into the wall. And so then he was out. And that basically handed the win to Dane Cameron driving Spike alongside PJ Hyatt. So congratulations to them on the overall win. Not often the LMP2 drivers get to say that. In GT Pro, the Dragon Speed Ferrari drove a clean race and came away with the win.
Wait. So Spike the Dragon won, and then the Dragon Speed car won.
That's true. They must be onto something with the names.
Interesting, yeah.
And then the big story, GTD, the Wayne Taylor Lamborghini was able to recover from that first lap being spun, and they won the race. So they did a little last to first challenge.
Oh, good for them.
I think that was their first IMSA win as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It was a weird weekend. We had 2 oval races, and they were Indycars. And now we start talking about road course racing and NASCAR. It's like the world's upside down. Don't ask Richard Petty, he'll tell you all about it. Xfinity at Sonoma. You know, there's not a lot to say. It was the Shane Van Gisbergen and Colin Connor Zilic show.
Well, I didn't watch the race, but I think that's how it should have been because they're the two who know how to drive on road courses.
They sure do. SVG got the pole. He led the first 2 laps till Zilic got by lap 3. SVG took the lead back a few laps later. The leaders all pit to flip the stage. I hate pitting to flip the stage. It annoys me. Giving Sam Mayer a stage win. Restarted on lap 25. Zilic got the lead. SVG got it back a couple laps later. Zilic gets it back right before stage end, and then they pitted to flip the stage again. And Brandon Jones gets a stage win. Has he actually raced to a stage win this year? It seems like every road course, when they pit to flip the stage, Brandon Jones gets a stage win.
I can't say I paid enough attention to answer that.
It just blows my mind. It's hilarious. Anyhow, Zilic led the start, stage 3, and he was able to keep Shane Van Gisbergen behind him. So, as I said, it was the SVG and Zilic show. Zilic won, SVG was second. William Sawalich finally had a good race this year, finishing third, but he was over 13 seconds behind SVG.
And I just want to point out real quick that Connor Zilic is 4th in the point standings, but you have to remember he missed a race with that injury.
He did.
And he's like 15 points behind second, so he probably would be second place if he had been able to race all of the races. So really good season from the rookie.
Yeah, he's doing very well. I'm happy to see that. When we watched him when he was knee-high to a grasshopper driving Miatas, right, at Road America.
Yeah. Moving down to Brazil for a little bit. The World Endurance Championship was back. They had about a month off after Le Mans. But they're back in Sao Paulo at Interlagos for a 6-hour race. And it was just hypercars and GTs here, so just the 2 classes. And I believe there were 18 starters in each. They like to keep it split pretty evenly like that. Ferrari really got bopped before the race. The balance of performance. They got a huge hit. I forget what all the categories they change are, but Ferrari took a hit in power. They added weight, and they took something away. Something else might have been downforce away too.
So that's something the sanctioning body does, is they like review how teams or cars are doing, and then they will penalize them or give them a weight break or something to try to even out the field. Is that what you mean by BOP?
Yeah, they do it a little differently than IMSA. IMSA has all the teams go before the start of the year, and then they make the adjustments, and then it's set for the whole year. But in the WEC, they do it a little differently. They change it after every race. And so after Le Mans, when Ferrari was dominant, they took a big hit, and they were starting deep in the pack at Brazil. So it's interesting. It makes the racing a lot closer, and teams that are mid pack, they've still got a chance. I know some people don't like it. Some people say it's more exciting.
I think I like it, and I don't. Depends on my mood at the moment.
It depends on which team you're supporting.
And I don't care really, so that doesn't bother me. Just so there's good close racing. That's what I like.
Well, anyways, the Jota Team Cadillac was on pole again with Alex Lynn. He was on pole for Le Mans. Back at it again.
How about those Cadillacs?
Yeah, they were pretty fast.
USA.
I know they qualified 1-2, but Sebastian Bourdais got a 1-place grid penalty for impeding. So they started 1 and 3 with a Porsche in between them.
Impeding? That sounds naughty.
That's like blocking on the qualifying.
Okay.
And in the GT class, it was a first-time pole sitter in Eduardo Barrichello, Barrichello, that's the son of Rubens.
Rubens. I
Yeah,
was thinking that name sounded familiar, but I didn't want to say something and sound dumb like I usually do anyway.
yeah, that's his son. And he is driving an Aston Martin in the GT class. Just like at Le Mans, the Porsche got a really good start. That Porsche Penske of Julian Andlauer took the lead on lap one. Can't let those Cadillacs lead lap one. And he held on for a couple hours. Meanwhile, in the GTs, Lexus had a very good start to the race. They were running 1 and 2 with both their cars. After 2 hours, you could throw a blanket over the top three. I mean, there was less than a second between them. I was the Porsche leading and both Jota Cadillacs behind. One of them had a penalty, and so was on fresher tires and was on a little offset strategy, but it was still a very close race. The race went green, and it got a little less close as time went on. And in the end, it was the Jota Cadillac of Norman Nato, Alex Lynn, and Will Stevens who got the win by 57 seconds over their teammate and the Porsche Penske rounding out the podium. Everybody else was laps down. And just a note for you, the Ferrari.
Me, my own personal note.
Well, you like Ferrari, and we were just talking about the bop. The bop might have been a little too much on the Ferraris because they finished 8th, 11th, and 12th, and all of them were 2 laps down.
Ooh, they got overbopped.
Yeah, so I'd expect to see them, get a little back for next race.
See, that's the thing I like is they can fix it for next race and unbop them.
Yeah. And then in the GTs, it was the Lexus driven by Jose Maria Lopez, Clemens Schmidt, and Pedro Umbrarescu who got the win. Those are mostly new names to me. I know Lopez used to drive the Toyota hypercar. I'm not sure who the other two are, but congratulations to them on the win. And they won by 37 seconds over a Corvette, and an Aston Martin rounded out the podium.
All right, moving back to the good old US of A on an oval, we have Indycar race number 2 from Iowa. Little news, Nolan Siegel, who actually had a good qualifying lap. Remember, they did both their qualifying laps on Saturday, so his second lap was much better than his first. He was supposed to start 6th in this race, but he was not cleared after Saturday's crash to drive, so only 26 cars fired off for the second race. I did not see anything in my research to see if it was an actual injury or if the doctors were just being careful with him. Alex Palou was on the pole. Yay, Alex Palou. There's a caution on lap 2. Devlin DeFrancisco apparently forgot that he was on cold tires, and he just got loose and spun it into Scott McLaughlin. Hey, that's one Penske car out. They restarted on lap 11, and Will Power blew a motor the next lap. Coasted into the pits so they could stay green. But hey, guess what? That's two Penske cars out in the first 12 laps. Alex Palou still led, had no challengers. Lap 50, your boy Stingray Rob got himself a little too far down in the corner, got loose, spun himself into the wall. This was where things got a little dicey. Lap 50, some guys pitted, some didn't. Pit window was 80-ish, so that kind of got things squirrely. Alex Palou led the restart. Joseph Newgarden just flew by him on the next lap. Led for a while, and then the Chevys just weren't getting the gas mileage. So Newgarden was the first one to come in for green flag pit stops. As he hits pit road, Marcus Ericsson cuts a right front tire and goes into the wall, bringing out the caution, which was obviously horrible timing for Newgarden. So everyone else got to pit under caution, and after the caution and pit cycle, that dropped Newgarden from the lead back to 13th place. We all know Joe can pass, though, don't we? Don't we, huh? Restart, Palou was in the lead, and then Callum Ilott went into the wall on lap 177. Just about everybody pitted, except Kyle Kirkwood stayed out. Not sure what the call there was. They decided to stay out. He was able to hang on and battle Palou for a couple laps until the tire deficit just caught up with him and he faded back into oblivion. Everybody blew by him. Newgarden was just charging through the field. He took the lead with 35 to go. David Malukas also got by Alex Palou, so little Dave was up in second. And then the green flag stops begin again. And there's another caution. Excuse me. You don't need to edit that out, don't worry. I'm human. Humans cough sometimes. Colton Herta blew a right front tire and hit the wall with 23 laps to go. Now, if you're paying attention, all three Andretti cars blew right front tires in this race. Somebody set something up wrong. So this caution basically killed Newgarden and Malukas' race because Palou had not pitted yet. So the Hondas were definitely getting better gas mileage. They restarted with 11 to go, and Palou just drove on to win without any challenges. So what's that? 7 wins for Alex Palou now on the season.
7 out of 12.
He could pretty much just park it and still win the championship.
Well, I did the math. There's 5 races left.
Of course you did.
He needs, in the next 2 races, all he needs to do is outscore Pato by 11 points, and he'll clinch the championship with 3 left.
Crazy.
Anyways, we've got a Formula One update. There was no race this week. They're off for a couple more weeks. Their summer break. But big news from Red Bull, who notably has been struggling mightily, I would say, as of late. Christian Horner has been sacked after 20 years as the Red Bull team principal. He's been the team principal since the team started in 2005. And they fired him halfway through the season. And so what that means is Laurent Mekies moves up. He was the team principal of V-Carb, and he has moved up into the vacant role at Red Bull. And Alan Permain is in at RB as their new team principal. He most recently was one of the team principals who made it less than a year at Alpine. So I don't know much about him. But that's big news. It really shakes things up, especially since Max Verstappen's exit clause in his contract was triggered by Red Bull being really bad. And so there's been a lot of speculation lately. I know people were tracking Max and Toto Wolff's private jets. They were both in Sardinia at the same time. And with George Russell not having a contract for next year as of yet, people are speculating that Max might move to Mercedes. I don't know. What do you make of all it?
I hate the rumors. I mean, they're entertaining, but nobody knows anything. The people who do know things aren't going to write about it on the internet. Especially, Max isn't telling people what's going on. So everything's speculation at this point. I mean, when people get fired, they're fired. I would assume Christian Horner will pick up a job real quick. I'd have him run my team. Max Verstappen can go wherever he wants to and drive. He is still the best driver out there. So I guess we'll see how it shakes out. That's what the summer break brings, though, is people are missing their Formula One. So we got to start rumors and entertain ourselves, huh? I saw something today that somebody said that Yuki Tsunoda is not going to have his contract renewed at Red Bull at the end of the year. Is that true? He's not very good, but nobody's very good in the Red Bull except Max. So who knows what's going on in Formula One? Except drama. Drama and rumors and lots and lots and lots of money. You have any more rumors?
No, I'd say that's a pretty accurate assessment.
Okay. Cup race at Sonoma. That was a snore fest. Shane Van Gisbergen on pole, took the lead, led the whole stage until he pitted to flip the stage, giving the stage win to Ross Chastain. Shane Van Gisbergen leads to start stage 2, leads this whole stage until pitting to flip the stage, giving Kyle Larson the lead. Now this is funny. So he pits to flip the stage, gives Larson the lead. Just about everybody pitted. So SVG comes out second and passes Larson and still wins the stage, even though he pitted to flip it. So I thought that was funny. That was the best part of the race. Shane Van Gisbergen led to start the third stage and led until green flag pit stops, which he had no issues, got the lead back after the pit cycle. Then we had our first caution finally when Rick Ware Racing, that multiple championship team, left Cody Ware's wheel loose after the pit stop, and he lost it in turn 3 and was hanging out there without a tire. Got that cleaned up, restarted the race, and Shane Van Gisbergen, of course, led the rest of the laps and won the race, as he was expected to. I don't know, dude can drive. You know, they said, oh, he's not going to be able to race Sonoma. That's not a street circuit. That's a road course. And, got first on Sunday and second on Saturday. So I guess he can drive on road courses too.
Well, it's his third win in 5 weeks. So, yeah.
If only he could learn how to turn left, he'd be a pretty good race car driver. Huh? He's still 26th in points with 3 wins. But he'll still be in the NASCAR Championship doohickeys, playoffs, whatever you want to call them. On a personal note, Jim and I went to Angel Park Speedway, one of the best and most historic racetracks in the United States, I would like to say. It's been operating for 90-some years. There was some great racing. They had, of course, midgets, because this track used to race only midgets for like half a century. There was nothing on that track except midgets. So it was midgets, 360 sprint cars, the MSA sprint cars, and the Legends raced. Track got a little interesting with some grooves and ruts, but yeah, it was some good racing all night, I'd say, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I haven't been there in 6 years.
Yeah, we haven't been there since I retired from racing in 2019, so I have to admit it was kind of emotional for me when I got there. It was like seeing an old friend. I loved that track. My dad took me to that track when I was a kid, so Angel Park's been part of my life for 40 years. Scotty Neitzel won the sprint car race. He also set a new track record in qualifying. It was a good race. Tristan Furseth, former Legends racer who I used to race against, he had the lead and then he lost it, and he was catching Neitzel, and it was a good race.
I think he was the quickest on a clear track, but once he started getting into lap traffic is when he started having problems.
Well, that's when you got the young crazy kid in Tristan, and you got the wily old smooth as silk veteran in Scotty Neitzel. You know, Scotty's been racing sprint cars longer than Tristan's been alive, so you know, when you got those two going, I always pick the old guy, although I was rooting for Tristan, that's for sure. In the Legends, Hayden Smool won. That was a really close race. Cal Swenson was second. I haven't seen him race in person. He was moving. I think if they went 5 more laps, Swenson probably would have got the win. But that was a good race. And then the highlight of the night, Parker Jones, another former Legends racer I raced with, in the midgets, has won every race at Angel Park this year. So there was a $1,000 bounty on his head. So it's $1,000 to win there, and they put up another $1,000 for anybody who beats him. There were a couple guys, I can't remember who had the lead first. I feel really bad about that. The number 3 midget. He had a mechanical failure pulled off. That's when Parker Jones got the lead. Derek Doer was running second. He had something for Jones, and then he broke a throttle cable and pulled in, and Parker Jones just showed everybody how to do it. On the track was rough, and Jones was riding it. He was riding that thing like a bucking bronco, but he won. He collected his own bounty because he won the race, so he got $1,000, and it was a fun night of racing, all wrapped up by 10 o'clock p.m., just like it should be. So if you haven't been to Angel Park in Wisconsin, go, because it is a great facility. The food was good. They had some new offerings since last time we had been there, and yeah, that's Angel Park. I love it. What do we have next week?
Next week we don't have a lot. Not much from the endurance or Formula One side. You've got NASCAR at Dover, so you'll cover those races.
That's just Xfinity and Cup. Trucks still have their 17-week layoff or whatever it is, when Dover would be a great track for trucks.
And then I'll cover the Indycar race from the streets of Canada.
The streets of Canada.
Yeah, I got a problem with that. I haven't seen the track, but Canada's got like 2 or 3 good tracks, and they're doing a street circuit, which I don't like in general. So maybe it'll be a good track. I just don't like the concept that you got perfectly good tracks and then you race on the streets.
Oh, is that like the perfectly good racetrack at Road America, but they race on the streets of Chicago an hour and a half away?
You know, yeah, it's kind of like that.
That's right. Canada's got that. Didn't they build an island or something?
Yeah, Montreal.
To build a racetrack on it? Okay. Yeah, I don't know why they're not racing there. I don't get this whole street circuit trend that's happening, but I'll stop babbling. So, thanks everybody for listening / watching, and we'll talk to you next week.